was up, you know.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch, or you know, this dude's gonna put me on a hook or something, and I just couldn't do it. So I've been alien.
So did you get someone to put it on there for you?
Yeah, I actually did. Yeah, but you know, back a long time ago, I used to bait, you know, all sorts of things and catch fish and kill them and stuff like that. I mean, I've done it. You know, I have killed fish, many fish. You know, sometimes for pleasure. I used to put snails on salt, you know, and watch them fizz and stuff like that. So I mean, I have killed. You know, I used to take those really ugly tomato bugs. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
They're kind of big and green and they're juicy and they're fairly disgusting. And we used to douse them in lighter fluid and light them up and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. We did all sorts of stuff like that too.
So I've killed, you know, but it's been a while.
Yeah. So we have this fact that the killing is a necessary thing, and it really is kind of hypocritical or evidence of a strange alienation that we would kind of pride ourselves in not killing or something, and yet go on eating everything that whoever's killing it for us is willing to kill. Now, but the slaughterhouse thing again is a totally different thing, because the kill has been kind of mechanized to a point, and then it gets into the industrial society. And can you take something so personal as one organism's, you know, if you look at ancient cultures or even not so ancient cultures, having a respect for the animal that they kill.
Yeah, that's important.
A slaughterhouse is such a blatant.
It's all about efficiency, you know.
Yeah, you can't have that there,
you know, of course, though, the highly mechanized, industrialized slaughterhouses where the Islamic people and the Jewish people slaughter their meat kosher, and I can't remember what the Islamic people call it. But there, each animal is blessed before they're killed. You know.
but they don't have like they could fool with that pretty like. Okay, you have to. What does blessing mean? Do you have to touch each animal, or can you like look out over a room and say you all are blessed?
It's hard to say.
Then the chute goes out.
I'm
the
sure.
Entire room.
I'm sure we could look it up in Leviticus. You know, I mean, you know, because I think that stuff's written down, right? So, but
I'm sure we could.
Yeah. but at any rate, you know, there is that. But it, you know, again, they're killing them by the hundreds and at that point.
But I think now we have to make a transition to the more interesting aspect of this, which is the statement, "My God, this is a slaughterhouse," isn't it? Meaning that if one were to conceive of even two things. One, human history as a slaughterhouse would be one way to think that as a...
anthropomorphic.
Yeah, right. Or the other way would be to look at existence or the nature of human imagination as a slaughterhouse. And what I mean by that is that it seems that if you just think of we'll see if this fits as a metaphor. If you think of, and this is what we need Dilly here for too, is if you think of life, what life is many, many parts. And each part usually has to be broken into parts in order to function. So it's a disassembly in a sense. What we do, both what our body does and what our imaginations of our bodies do, is to create a sense of a whole, which is imaginary. It's not real. There is no real whole body. The body is a billion different parts, right?
Yeah, but they're connected, like the knee bone.
They're connected. They're temporarily connected, right? But once you get down to it, you see, yeah, but everything's connected. Is my point. So if you think of the universe, it's this massively connected, teeming organism, which is made up of so many parts, which are, so how to make it a slaughterhouse metaphor. If we think of the whole, here's the whole of the universe. Well, what happens in a slaughterhouse? The thing is broken apart into parts. That's what happens with us. We're broken into parts. Not only within ourselves, we have X amount of cells, and each cell is actually made up of strands of this and this, and then you can break it up, and then out through the each of our bodies is separate, and each planet is separate, each galaxy, and it goes out and out. So the question becomes, but never, there's never any final version reached. There's this constant process of disassembly, which never stops. Isn't that true? Is there something that is not disassembled?
I'd have to think of that, but it seems to me that I see the logic of the argument. I see where it's going, and perhaps the challenge then, or what separates human beings from the leech or from some other animal, is our attempt to put it back together. In other words, that we're not satisfied with the parts. So what makes us different than others is that when faced with, if in fact I adopted your position, then I would immediately know in myself want to figure out some kind of order to put it back together, because I wouldn't want a world reduced to parts, and so I would attempt to.
But that's what science does.
Find some order.
But science can only create its sense of order by understanding the parts.
Yeah, but then they put it back together. They have theory, a theory and a hypothesis and all those kinds of things to give order to the parts, don't they?
Yeah, it's an orderly slaughterhouse.
Yeah, they probably have those to tear apart too, those theories and hypotheses to tear apart. But I understand your point about disassembly and the centrality of disassembly to the kind of in the cosmic sense. But isn't the purpose of a slaughterhouse to break it down, turn it into parts, and then sell it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that even after you've broken it down, that the purpose of the slaughterhouse is to deliver a product.
Mm-hmm. Well, I could qualify it and say, my God, this is a meaningless slaughterhouse, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is a useless
This
slaughterhouse.
is a slaughterhouse. And then it really is a matter of breaking it down into parts.
Yeah, but you're right. It is what goes back and forth is that there is, although there is this breaking into parts, which is the nature of physical reality, it's also the nature of imaginary reality, because what we do with speech, what speech is an ability to name all these parts and therefore open things up and create this imaginary space. So if I say, I went on a picnic, it was beautiful, my lover danced for me by the moonlight, or whatever. This picture I'm painting, right, has nothing whatsoever to do with scientific reality or with the actual parts. And nevertheless, if we look only at the imaginary scene, it too functions only because I've broken things into parts and said how they're related to one another. So there's a mirror, in some sense, a mirror effect there of that because reality is broken into parts itself. We, in our intelligence, in our ability to name those parts and understand their relationship to one another, begin to have this ability to create imaginary space.
All right, so then the reality itself is what we imagine what we understand is only what we imagine. In other words, the putting together of these disparate parts is really our imagination functioning, because the reality itself is imagination that allows us to comprehend things. And so reality itself.
Well, it's not I wrote something like, I actually used the word comprehend also, but then I scratched it out. I wrote this: the bits gathered up seem like a whole. It's the gathering, the act of the gathering, more than anything else. It's not the bits, certainly. This whole, this is a drugged state. A weird drug in our brains allows us to get a sense of the body system that handles the bits, the power, the one power, the body system, whatever you want to call it, that handles the bits, and also a sense of the whole sphere of bits, so that I have my most fundamental sense of things is me, which means that power which is able to gather the bits and into a whole. The gathering in itself inevitably creates a sense of a whole. I'm in a scene, always. And then the other, there's that power, and then there's that sphere from which I gather, in which I guess the most primordial sense of that sphere is thou, and other, and mother, of course, at first. But I said allows us to get a sense of the body system instead of comprehend, because I think it's always merely, like you say, it's a temporary fictional thing. All comprehension is a temporary physical thing. It's just useful for us.
It's necessary.
Pleasurable.
Yeah.
Damn pleasurable at times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah. Because,
All right.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And the thing is, that it's at those moments when it's most pleasurable that I believe most firmly in reality. You know?
What do you mean by reality?
That I believe that what I'm experiencing, that pleasure that I'm having is real. You know, not parts, but that what I'm, because we could go back into these, who's that Descartes guy, and these people that doubt existence itself, right? I mean, and it seems to me that that's one direction that the slaughterhouse metaphor could go.
Well,
you could break it down to the point that we aren't real.
No, well, I don't. No, I think that the difference is that with Descartes, he didn't have a sense of the chasm between reality and imagination. He was deciding either or. Whereas I think today philosophers are more faced with a way to say, okay, reality is this, and we are in some way linked to it. Obviously, when it goes down, we go down. But at the same time, so long as we can, we are free to imagine what we imagine, which is it's a kind of a free-floating chemical dream of some sort, which has really no relationship, no meaningful relationship to reality. Like when I say dog and have my feeling of what a dog is, that imagination has no link to the DNA of that creature, of course not.
Of course not.
So, but I guess the further question that gets us to the spiritual territory is the